Let's see about this. Do 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 do. Got it. Let's link Streamlabs in here. Let's make sure monetization and shit is on. No, it is not.
Bienvenidos al Centro de Innovación, donde la tecnología se encuentra con la prehistoria. Welcome to the Innovation Center, where technology meets prehistory.
There we go. That should do it. And now to let other people know that this is going down. First we'll tweet it. And then Discord. Alright, should be ready to go now. Everything is checking out. Gonna check, make sure that my mic is working. Yep, it is. Alright. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very special, somewhat impromptu stream. I decided to do the stream while I was trying to sleep last night, because as of last night, I completed the first draft of my very first novel. It is the first time I have finished an original work of this magnitude, and I'm excited to share a little bit of it with y'all. I might read an excerpt later. I'm not going to get into any like plot or character, or I'm not going to get too deep into character stuff. I'm not going to talk about the plot other than like just general synopsis, like what you would read on the back of the cover. Because who knows how much of it's going to change between, you know, here and now. I don't want you to get excited for like certain story elements and then those story elements not end up happening. So let's go to our, which one was, yeah, free stream? Was this the one I was working on with y'all before? I think so. And I think I might have... No. I've streamed since I've had the herbivore pack. Yeah. Thought I might have some new dinos to show off to you, but I don't. Alright, so where was I? Okay, I got Kintrosaurus, I got Spinosaurus, I got all these Asian Jurassic dinosaurs, I have all these American Jurassic dinos. I need to put Dryosaurus in here. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and load up some Dryosaurs. Go with that. We'll put 3 of them in here. Yeah, Orestes, this is gonna be a really short stream, cause in about an hour, or less than an hour, I gotta start getting ready for, the podcast, which we are also recording tonight, so, gonna be a lot of talking for me. Oh man, I forgot how fucking fast the Dryosaurs load up.
Task received.
So, my book, I tweeted it out when I finished it. Let's look at that tweet, because I put some stats on it too. Yeah. Right now, with the first draft completed, it stands at 100 pages, 33 chapters, 45,920 words. Gesundheit. So let's put out a calculator. Let's see how many words per chapter that is about. 45,920 divided by 33. That's about 1,300 words per chapter. That's a good average.
Asset requiring collection.
Look at all this room I still got.
En route to collect the asset. Heading to pick up the asset.
So, for those of you who don't know, or for those of you wanting a reminder, whatever the case may be, the book I am working on is called Night Watch, or I guess that's actually the series name. The title of this book will be Night Watch Volume 1, The Hellfire Brats. So, Night Watch, as in the book series, because it's one of those, the book series, the organization, or the person. The book series is about a group of mages who, investigate certain, events. In this case, in the case of the Hellfire Brats, it's a series of arsons, being executed by the titular Hellfire Brats, and the agents of Night Watch, Oliver and Dodger, have to investigate and bring them to justice with the help of some unlikely allies, and help from their boss, Sir Nightwatch himself. Sir Nightwatch is actually a very elusive figure who, despite his name being on the organization and the book series, isn't gonna be in the books a whole lot. He's kind of like Aslan from the Narnia books, where he's there, he does his thing, but he's got other important stuff to do that isn't connected to the main overarching plots. So he only comes in when it's absolutely necessary for him to come in. What dinosaurs am I still missing? I got the Pachycephalosaurus. I got Monocerosaurus. I got Pentaceratops. I got Torosaurus, Iguanodon, Edmontosaurus, Triceratops, Ankylosaurus, Corythosaurus. What am I still missing? Chasmosaurus, Parasaurolophus, Sauropelta, Sinoceratops, and Tausaurus. Kintrosaurus. I'm gonna put a pair of Nigrosaurus in there with the Kintrosaurus. And I think a coastal pattern. Or which one is it the tundra pattern? The super black? I'll go wetland. Orestes asked, that sounds really interesting. Is it going to be a modern themed fantasy setting or a medieval one? Modern. I think the whole medieval thing is way overdone. I think modern fantasy is kind of overdone as well, but this isn't really modern fantasy in genre. It's only modern fantasy in setting. Because you think modern fantasy, you get things like Percy Jackson, Dresden Files, Supernatural, where they will try to retrofit ancient myths and legends into modern day settings. Like Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court. There's that King Arthur movie that came out last year, or maybe it was earlier this year, where like King Arthur was actually a kid in the modern day. It's not going to be any of that. It's going to be very modern. It's going to be like basically the real world, where the only difference is that magic has just always been a thing. Like the whole idea of mages and stuff never went away from ancient times. And because it's such kind of a flat line difference in setting between our world and the world of the book, history went about the same way that it did with us. My vision for it is like, think D-Day. If there's only one powerful mage group joining one side, it would completely change the way that World War II went down. But because it's such a steady percentage of people that are mages, that both sides had just as many mages, and so the overall results of World War II were exactly the same. Everyone had the exact same benefits going forward. And so, yeah. Sorry, I got distracted by a DM. Yeah, wetland is not the one I wanted, but whatever.
Heading to collect the asset. En route to pick up the asset.
I also need to put some Homolocephalus in here. An Asian one. So we'll do that next. We'll load up a trio of Homolocephalus. GQ Smith said main inspiration for this. That is kind of a weird question because the initial inspiration was, my disdain for Devilman Crybaby, but the final, like, outline and idea of the book is very, very different than what the initial idea was, as far as that goes. Orestes asked, you mean magic will be common knowledge then, or known only to, for example, some particular powerful groups? No, it is very common knowledge. It's common, because another thing that happens is it's not just the mages, there's also monsters and demons, that come from another world. And I might actually do something with that, where that might actually be the only real difference in magic is it comes from the other world. I'm not sure. I'm not sold on that being a plot point yet. But yeah, so there's these dimensional rifts between worlds, and one of them is right on the edge of the setting, which of course, being a homeboy that I am, the story is set in St. Louis. So within the book, there's a massive dimensional gateway in St. Louis that the arch was actually built to contain, but monsters still slip through that dimensional rift and will attack citizens. So you actually have one group of mages called the Celestial Knights that are assigned to protect the citizens from these monsters and otherworldly invaders. So yeah, because of that, mages are very common knowledge, but it is not common to run into them. It's something like 10% of the population, I think, is what my notes say. That's subject to change. And because of the way that the dimensional rifts work, and the way cities were built to contain these dimensional rifts, most mages, like 98% of mages, live in major cities and stay, like, alone, or just keep company with other mages. Like, they don't really show off a whole lot, because showing off puts a target on their back.
Picking up asset.
Vince A. asked, have you seen Yunjo Sinki? It has magic fighting in World War I in an AU. No, I have not, though it sounds interesting.
Commencing asset transit.
Alright, I think I'm gonna start making my Carnivore Walk. Just seeing. Yeah, I'll make my Carnivore Walk, I think. Yeah, I got all the Pachycephalosaurus now. There's Ankylosaurus, Nodosaurus, Sauropelta. I think Gigantospinosaurus is in here. And Gigantospinosaurus is in here. Though Gigantospinosaurus should not be in here, actually. Wait. Yeah, I should. Never mind. What's the other one? I always forget. Polacanthus is the one I'm missing. Sauropelta, Nodosaurus, Ankylosaurus. I'm missing Polacanthus, aren't I? Yeah. I think I am. Ankylosaurus, Gigantospinosaurus, Trichinosaurus, Stegosaurus, Diplodocus, Chimerosaurus, Apatosaurus. Yeah, I'm missing Polacanthus. I'm just gonna go in here with Iguanodon. Do 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 do. Alright, now with that out of the way, guess the next thing to mention would be, characters, I guess? Debating on how deep I should go with that.
Asset has been delivered. Transportation complete.
Wait, I don't have any of the Mimins in here, do I? No, I'm missing Gallimimus and Struthiomimus. So I'm gonna throw Gallimimus in here. And Struthiomimus in... right next to it. I'll throw it in there. So I'm gonna have a couple galleys. I'm gonna have 2 galleys and 2 Struthies. GQ Smith said, "What kind of morality is your main character?" That's kind of the trick of it being called Nightwatch, is that there is kind of a main, like, audience surrogate character who goes through the most, like, physical growth and stuff throughout the series. But he's not the only main character, and that's Oliver Turner, and they're all good. There's nothing really morally ambiguous about any of the main heroes, because I think moral ambiguity is another thing that's actually kind of overdone, and I would rather get back to, like, characters that might not be so black and white to us, but are black and white to themselves. You know, characters like Mr. A and the Shadow. Probably some of the biggest inspirations for these characters. Like, I took a lot of inspiration from pulp novels, comic books, and certain animes, and figuring out these characters and stuff. For instance, you have, there's a character named Eliza Alcius, who is one of the main characters in the story, and she's probably the most morally righteous and also religiously zealous of the main cast. And there's one part where she just straight up impales a bitch. just for being not good. Like she has absolutely no qualms with stabbing people through the chest with her sword. If they cross the line.
Assets in the air.
Forecast received.
I think I probably should have thrown a Homolocephaly in here as well, since I'm pretty sure it's a Cretaceous dinosaur. Restus asks, why do I get Helsing vibes from this lady? That's a good question. I guess there are similarities between, like, Helsing and, Nightwatch, as far as how the organization goes.
Collect the asset.
Helsing would actually be much more like the Celestial Knights, and if you know, we're talking honestly, because in Helsing Ultimate, the Helsing organization is like government funded and stuff, and that's what the Celestial Order is. Which the Celestial Knights are just 1/3 of the Celestial Order. Actually, probably more like half, but they are one of 3 branches of the Celestial Order. 3 is a number that comes up a lot in Nightwatch. There are 3 auras, 3 factions of the Celestial Order, 3 types of mages. Usually 3 characters in each group. The Hellfire Brats, the actual like mages within the Hellfire Brats. It's 3 demons. Miss Ayton, she sound pretty Old Testament. Yeah, she's very fire brimstone, religious. Like I said, she's probably like morally the most upright character. Like she like never really questions her faith or her abilities. She only questions people and whether they are good or not, whether she should trust them or not. Those are the only questions she ever asks herself. And those questions extend to, like, the people she's supposed to be working for. Alright. Enough being around the bush. I'm gonna start working on the Carnivore Walk.
Progress.
Let's get some concrete. Well, there's someone in here.
Asset delivery confirmed.
Okay, how many carnivores do I have? Or do I, because I have Spinosaurus already. So next to him, I think I'm gonna have, I don't actually like Spinosaurus being there. I know why I put Spinosaurus there. But now it's like, okay, do I put him next to Carcharodontosaurus, who is also an African super predator, or do I put him next to Baryonyx, who is also a Spinosaurid? I think I'm not gonna put him next to anyone. I think I'm gonna put a viewing platform here.
Asset transported.
Come on, I know you want to. There we go. And let's put another transport thing here. This is why I hate the monorail. It just takes up so much space. Alright, now Mamentosaurus. Okay, still has enough forest. And then Camarasaurus is the most needy one here, so let's find the Camarasaurus. Just barely enough forest. Now with the monorail in here. So then let's put a straight path here. I'll put like a hotel fit here. No. So I'll put restaurant. Orestes Lazaridis asks, you mentioned trying to avoid standard modern fantasy settings since they have been overused. Will you design your own monsters as well? Sometimes. I think, you know, you gotta kind of take advantage of what you can when it comes to monsters. So there will be like a Sasquatch, for instance. I'm gonna avoid using classical monsters just because the idea I had as far as monsters goes that like monsters are something that is in every single culture. So there are a couple monsters that I am designing myself and using inspiration from other monsters from actual mythology, but because it's an American setting, I am trying to keep the monsters that are going to show up constrained to North American cryptids and monsters from Native American legend. For instance, there is something called I have no idea how to pronounce this. Djovitz, which is a type of like ogre from Native American mythology that was cannibalistic and associated with volcanism. And so a monster like that is going to be the kind of monster that shows up in the series. We're not going to get chimeras or minotaurs because those are Greek monsters. Now, if the setting was in Greece, yes, those would be part of it. Ninja Chop Drew asks, have you bought the Raptor Squad skin pack. Will you buy Return to Jurassic Park either? I haven't bought any of the major DLC. I haven't bought the Raptor skin pack. I probably won't buy that. I don't think it's worth $1.50 for the Raptor Squad skins. Unless it's actually cheaper than that, then I might sometime down the road. As far as the Return to Jurassic Park, I really want to. In fact, if you want me to play the Return to Jurassic Park, donate however much it is through Streamlabs. Seriously, like if you want me to actually buy DLC for this game or any game, donate. Donate through Streamlabs. I'll put the thing in the chat again. There. So you can donate there, or you can donate to Super Chat. I advise Streamlabs because Streamlabs takes a much smaller percent of your money for themselves if you donate. Like YouTube, I think takes something like 30%. So if you donate $10 to me through Super Chat, I only get $7, and YouTube gets the other $3. You donate $10 through Streamlabs, then I get like $90.50, and Streamlabs gets 50 cents. Orestes Lazardus asked, I am up for any interesting monster use and a good story. I'm curious if you will actually use Greek monsters at some point. Yes. There are Greek monsters that are mentioned, at least within the first draft of the story. Hydra gets mentioned. And kind of utilized. And so, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so like, all the classic Greek monsters, for instance, they exist, but they only come through the rift in the, like, Greco-Roman region of Europe. Like, those are the kinds of monsters that pop up in Europe. So, if there's ever part of the overarching story or a book down the line in the series that takes place in Greece, yeah, there's going to be a lot of, like, minotaurs and chimeras and Nemean lions and giant boars and stuff like that. But as far as North America goes, we got things like Sasquatch, Mothman, werewolves, vampires, and stuff like that. Let's throw in a clothes shop. Let's actually throw in the arcade. No, clothes shop. Clothes shop will fit better. And then I will throw in the arcade. I'll throw that in here. And then this path here will go into my kind of carnivore walk. So first up on the carnivore walk will be the one and only Triassic dinosaur in this entire goddamn game, which is a shame, because the Triassic era is such an interesting era of life, and one that gets criminally underutilized in media, just because there weren't a whole lot of dinosaurs at that time. So let's get a pair of Herrerasaurs loaded up. So, Vincent A10 said, I still need to find a more terrifying monster than the Zerg of StarCraft. What makes me fear them the most is that they don't need anyone. They don't need animals, they can just digest the raw minerals of the planet. They don't need plants as they can live without oxygen. So I'm not very familiar with StarCraft, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, it sounds interesting. Orestes Lizardus asks, that's very interesting. I didn't know North American folklore included vampires too. There's versions of vampires in damn near every single culture. They're not called vampires in North American folklore though. I mean, I guess they kind of are more like modern folklore. But that's just that we just kind of adopted that from Europe. Um, so there is a vampire-like creature that is actually of my own making. Uh, Not gonna talk about a whole lot, but they're called vampires. And they are actually not sentient. They are parasitic spider-like creatures that attach themselves to a host body and then absorb that body into their own. So they can actually incorporate aspects of several different kinds of monsters. No, I do not like the angular look. I'm gonna redo this. Redo the entire enclosure. It's gonna be square, like everything else. Or I guess not technically square. Rectangular, but y'all know what I meant. It's actually really hard to make a perfectly square enclosure when it's got a viewing gallery in it. Yeah, it's not gonna be very big. That might even be too big for Herrerasaurus. I mean, no such thing as too big, but too big for one dinosaur when I still got a bunch of other dinosaurs to get. I guess I could split it in half and put Herrerasaurus on one end and Dilophosaurus on the other. Nah. Herrerasaurus will be fine in there. So I'll be doubling up on a lot of the other ones. Restus Lizardus said it is mostly because Triassic had the first dinos and they are not as popular as the later ones. True, yes, they were certainly not as big. Like the biggest dinosaur of the Triassic was probably like Plateosaurus, and Plateosaurus is like Plateosaurus is about the size is even smaller than like Nigersaurus here. Like that's how small it was. I'm gonna answer this DM real quick. Alright, are they done? Yeah, they're done. Alright. Just in time. Sorry, I had to answer that DM.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to welcome a Allosaurus to the park.
I love the Herrerasaurus in this game, by the way. They don't act like other dinosaurs in this game.
We are pleased to welcome a Allosaurus.
They act so different. They hiss, making it probably the most realistic dinosaur as far as sound goes. RSSS, have you read Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park book? A long time ago, yes. When I was a little kid. I did not retain a whole lot of it. I have watched videos comparing the book and the movie, though. So I do know a lot of, like, at least what the differences between the book and the movie are. I should probably, yeah, I need some trees. I need some food. I need some water. Probably should have done the water before the food. It would have been a lot faster. Alright, now attached to this...
Asset transit.
The next one is, I'm gonna put Ceratosaurus and Dilophosaurus in together. So let's start with, let's get a trio of Dilophosaurs. Make them all different colors. Definitely have vivid. Taiga be the other one. A trio of Dilophosaurs, and we'll have 2 Ceratosaurs. This one's gonna require a lot more trees. Ceratosaurus doesn't require a lot of trees, but Dilophosaurus kind of does. So I'm gonna.
Asset has been delivered.
So I'm gonna do that. That should be good enough. We'll play a super Carnivus. Aressa said, here in Greece, most of our vampire lore is around old goddess servants and the Lamias, who were flesh and blood consuming monsters. Yeah, that's basically the idea. Sorry, answering more DMs. Alright. Is everything done? No, not quite. The Dilophosaurs are. I still don't like what Jurassic Park did with the Dilophosaurs. I know I talk about it every single time I play this game, but man, Dilophosaurs are supposed to be bigger than this. They're supposed to be terrifying.
We are pleased to welcome you, Allosaurus, to the
This is, oh yeah, this is only the second enclosure I've built in this stream. After these are taken care of, next will be Allosaurus and Proceratosaurus. Will be the next one I do. And we'll play a Super Carnivores.
En route to collect the asset. Asset requiring collection.
Adding task.
Versus Lizardus said Velociraptor should be smaller too. Yeah, kinda. So, the thing is that the Velociraptors in the Jurassic Park franchise are not actually Velociraptors. They are actually based on Deinonychus. They are very much based on the original illustrations
Assets in
made by paleontologists regarding Deinonychus.
Asset request received.
With... Oh, what the... Wait, what? Since when do... Since when is that a thing? Since when do
En route to pick up the...
Since when do ceratosaurs eat sleeping dilophosaurs? I thought they'd only eat things that they would fight
Asset to be
anyway.
collected.
Well, I guess I only have 2 dilophosaurs then. Okay. No, I need to get a different one. Dilophosaurus 3, so it should be still like the taiga pattern. I'll go ahead and start on the Allosaurus and 2 Proceratosaurs. LMNOP. Dang, I did not expect that to happen.
Delivery has been completed.
Okay, I've been going for almost an hour. I think after I'm done with this, building this Allosaurus exhibit, I should probably make sure that the Dilophosaurs are okay. Okay, yep. Nope, not enough forest. That should be good. Now they have a lot of... Wait. I guess it hadn't... Whatever. Doesn't matter. Do 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 do.
Asset
So
transportation.
I'm actually gonna load up the dock and find a good excerpt to read to you guys while these last couple dinosaurs are incubating. So I gotta get going here pretty soon. So what should I read for the excerpt? Oh, I should probably build their enclosure. Fuck. Let's knock them out. Hurry up and knock these guys out.
Confirming task.
Okay. 2, 3. Also need to... Forgot to put food. No, I think that's too much. Because I think that's going to interfere with my viewing gallery. Enclosure. There we go. Actually, no, I need a long one. Get better coverage of the enclosure. Damn it. I did the wrong thing like 5 times in a row there.
En route to collect the asset. Heading to collect the asset.
The Allosaurus is still cooking. I'm gonna make sure it's up in the air and everything before I unleash that Allosaurus, otherwise the Allosaurus is gonna kill it too. It'd be really dumb. Speaking of... No. I need to use this space for guest facilities. Let's put in, restaurant. And let's put in a gift shop. Gift shops are smaller. Won't take as much space. Unless I can fit a clothes shop. Clothes shops just have better ratings. Yep, I can fit a clothes shop, so I'm gonna fit a clothes shop.
Acknowledging asset collection request.
Find the right attire at our new
Complete.
Allosaurus is ready to unleash. Gonna knock that out. Super Carnivores. What? Social. Oh! Proceratosaurus needs more. Shoot. Go Alpine. Sorry, I thought Proceratosaurus needed 2. Ceratosaurus only needs 1 though. Same thing with Dilophosaurus and Ceratosaurus.
Heading to pick up the
I'm gonna go ahead and put a... This isn't good. Yeah, that's a Proceratosaurus trying to bust out. As Allosaurus is getting ready to be in that same enclosure. They're the only ones trying to bust out. Oh, and they're trying. Okay, that's not so bad. Except they're gonna try.
confirming asset delivery.
I'm gonna go ahead and knock out my Proceratosaurus. Where'd it go? Hurry up and fix this before the Allosaurus, like, starts rampaging too. Yeah, I know. Ah, God. Hurry up and knock that fucker out. Killed anyone yet? No, actually hasn't killed anyone yet. That's actually kind of impressive. I'm gonna wait until this issue is resolved. Disease contracted. What? Oh, I forgot I had diseases on.
Setting additional task.
Supposed to be on free roam. Why is everything... You know what? Real quick. Sandbox settings. I'm gonna turn... None. Just temporarily. So I can hurry up and get this all
En route to
resolved.
pick up the asset. Asset collection.
Confirmed.
That kept the dinosaurs from killing each other, at the very least. Yes, go to us. So while this is going on, as far as what's next for Night Watch, really just second draft. Gonna rework some stuff, maybe add a chapter or two to further like develop things. I'm gonna have, you know, after the second draft is done, that's when I'm gonna start really looking into getting it published. I'm gonna try getting a hold of some publishers and see if I could, you know, get the book greenlit. Send them what I have and be like, this is the first draft. I'm reworking some things with someone I trust, and it's coming along. When it actually gets greenlit for publishing, I will start talking about details a lot more. But here is a brief excerpt. This is from Chapter 1. Welcome to Shadowbrook. Just make sure everything is going alright. Alright. Let's give you guys something cool to look at while I read. There we go. 12 a.m. midnight. The numbers taunted me. Sure, I had stayed up later on school nights, but the longer I stayed up, the harder it would be to function the next day. And the lightning that had started at that time didn't help matters. Lightning, I found it weird because there was no rain. One little look out my window proved that much. I carefully snuck out of my room and towards the sliding glass door in the back. The lightning called to me. It preyed on my curiousness. I glimpsed the clouds over my house, but they were small. The storm was almost entirely centered around our house. Zap! The lightning bolt struck our backyard. That made my heart skip a beat. Oliver? I could hear my dad coming. A lightning bolt I wanted to tell him what I saw a moment earlier, but what I saw next took the words out of my mouth. A single glint of silver drifted in the air, attached to a large black form. Underneath it was the most horrific thing I had ever seen. My whole world warped. The sky began to bend. Everything grew cold. My breathing started to grow heavier, and I could see fog coming off my breath. Underneath the shadowy form was a monster. Its insectoid wings were fried. 6 spindly legs twitched from its body. The front half was still obscured by the black void. The shadow began to stretch and twist as if they were alive. I had heard the rumors. Who wouldn't have in this day and age? But this was my first time experiencing a mage battle. Bzz, pow! Lightning erupted from the ground and pierced the sky with light. The shadow twisted, shrunk, and vanished as the creature stood back up. The top part was vaguely humanoid. In the fading light, its skin looked as blue as the lightning bolt had. One hand was a pincer, and the other was covered in spikes. His bottom half looked like a giant beetle with dark blue armor. Zig verkal nefelima nihaha. The creature laughed. It opened up its pincer. Electricity arced within its grasp. Oliver, get down! My dad grabbed me and pulled me to the floor just in time. A wave of electricity blasted through the house and tore through it like glass. Everything was glass, not just the sliding door. The table, the cabinet, all of it had shattered like glass. Klishkia Daphne Nihaha. That's what it sounded like. It was a foreign language beyond my comprehension. I was speechless. I wanted to shout all sorts of expletives and question, but my mouth dried up. Everything in the world had dried and began to wither. Ollie! Dad pulled tightly as he tried lifting the both of us up. Another radiant blast fired from the creature's claw only to be stopped by the mysterious shadowy void that had been present earlier. This time the figure took a more human form. He was wearing a pointed hat and silver scarf. He looked back at me with burning amber eyes. He was human. He had saved us. He dropped to his knees with a sigh. "Nee-ha-ha-ha," the creature laughed as he walked forward. "Even you." He started speaking English, but his voice was broken and groggy. "Have your limits. You're not so scary when you're on your knees." The creature raised its claw. From there, my body moved on its own. The shadowy figure was human. I stood up. The creature was not. I ran forward. The man had saved me. I curled my fist. The monster had not. I lunged forward. If only I could fight, I'd save him too. So I did. "Wait!" Dad pleaded for me to stop. All I could see was a golden glow. I felt my knuckles burst as they impacted something. The coolness of blood rained between my fingers. The punch had landed on the monster's fanged maw. It had only taken a step back, but now I was between the demon and my savior. "Foolish boy," the creature shouted. "Nee-ha-ha-ha, you call that a punch?" I wanted to desperately take a step back. The only reason why I didn't was because I felt like I'd lose something precious if I did. I call it a distraction." The voice was alien to my ears. There was some kind of fake aristocratic accent, and it seemed to echo against the warped sky. And an instant later, the shadows leapt to life. They flexed and formed numerous skewers that pierced the monster in 3 different places. "Damn you," the monster coughed out. I felt a hand on my shoulder. The shadowy man pulled past me. A glint of silver appeared in his hand. Bang! Bang! 2 bullets flew from the gun barrel. The monster broke from its restraints and jumped backwards. The stranger's fist cracked against the monster's thorax. The shadows wrapped around the creature. The man's amber eyes poked from behind the monster's shoulders. Gloved hands put it in a headlock. Checkmate. The 2 bullets from earlier circled back and hit the side of the monster's head. Blood splattered from the wounds, and it screamed in pain. "Bastard," was the monster's final words before the shadowy figure pierced it again. This time a wave of electricity tore the creature apart, burning it and scattering it what was left into the wind. When there was no trace of the monster left, the world returned to normal. The damage that was done to the house no longer existed. The sky no longer bent around our house. "Evening, gentlemen." The figure removed his hat, revealing nicely combed black hair underneath. "Allow me to properly introduce myself. I am Sir Nightwatch." And that is the first meeting between Oliver Turner and the ever-elusive Sir Nightwatch. Which is in the first chapter of the first book. So now that everything has calmed down, I got 5 stars. I got everything built that I wanted to. I got 3 new enclosures, a couple new dinosaurs and the other ones. I think it is time for me to call it a day. Thank you. Last call for questions. I'll give you all a minute. I'll give you all a few minutes to ask any final questions, any final thoughts, and any final donations to Streamlabs. Alright, no final questions, I guess? Thank you all for joining me for this very special stream. Tune in Saturday at 10:30 a.m. for the podcast on Ruby Volume 7, Episode 4. And until we meet again, I am Mediocrity4. Thank you all for watching.